we talked about phonemic awareness, phonological, sounding out. Some of the text now, instead of sounding out, they call it stretching out the words. Let's stretch out the sounds in the word. If you've been in classrooms, you may have heard that term. So sounding out, stretching out, you know, in education, we are notorious for changing our words, updating our words. Let's talk about some of the specific words now. And we're looking at some of the root words, actually, of the words we just talked about. We talked about phonemic awareness. Well, what's phoneme? We talk about, I think it's chapter 6 in your Wrights and Lacuter book, maybe 7, that talks about morphemic analysis. Well, let's go back and talk about some of those root words. Phonemes, morphemes, graphemes. All of these are terms that are in the chapters that I just mentioned, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, of your Lewin-Kinzer book, and chapter 4 of your Wrights and Lacuter book. So, phonemes, morphemes, graphemes. We talked about consonants. Some of these terms are probably more familiar to you when you were doing the reading. Vowels, and then we're going to split off of these and look at some of the individual components. So, all right. So, phoneme. What is a phoneme? We've talked about phonemic analysis. I want you to do a little bit of analysis now. We talked about the fact that phonemic analysis is auditory, right? So, what do you think a phoneme is? I've shown it to you this morning when I did cat, when we looked at flat. So a phoneme is what?
The sound?
It's a sound. It's the smallest unit of sound. When I was saying how many sounds do you hear in the word cat? Well, there are 3, right? At. But when we talked about chat, chat has 4 letters, it has 3 sounds. Don't get confused. When you have a question or when you're trying to teach a skill to your students, how many sounds do you hear? Tammy, how many sounds are there in your name? And the rest of you think about it too, because I may ask you to help. Tammy, how many sounds, not letters, how many sounds are in Tammy?
I hear 4. 4?
Okay, we have 1 vote for 4.
I say 4.
I say 4.
I say
4.
We have 4, we have 3.
2. I say 3.
All right, well, let's count. All right, now do I need to write it down? Do I need to write her name down to count the sounds?
No.
Why? Because it's auditory, okay? How many sounds do you hear? You've got to realize what an important skill this is to teach your students, to build within your students, so that they can learn, they can build those necessary foundational reading skills. You've got to be able to focus on the sound. English is a sound-based language. So, we were trying to figure out how many sounds that we hear in Tammy's name. Not how many letters, how many sounds we hear. So, let's analyze it. We talked about analyzing, phonemic awareness, analyzing sounds. So, how many sounds? Don't tell me letters. We're not spelling it right now. Sounds. T, a, m, e.
Oh, so we break down the. Because I wanted to put it together.
Yeah.
T and me.
That's
Because me has how many sounds? If we just say the word me,
E.
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 We're breaking down individual sounds. Phoneme is the phoneme is the smallest unit of sound. So how many units of sound do you hear in the word me? E. 2. We hear a which is the sound that the M represents, and the E, which is the long sound of E, right? When it says its name. You've got to break it down. All right. How many sounds do we hear in Liz's name?
3.
Liz. Okay? You hear 3 sounds. Tell me what they are.
L,
Z. Don't tell me I. I is not a sound. I is a letter name. We're talking about letter sounds, and we're talking about phoneme sounds. There are questions about how many sounds are in this word on your phonics midterm. You've got to be able to analyze sounds. Practice, practice, practice. Practice with your kids, drive them crazy. It doesn't matter. It's a skill they need to know. Can you spell Liz's name if you don't know how many sounds there are? Can you spell Liz's name if you don't know the letter that sound represents? You've got to build that skill, okay? Okay, so phoneme is the smallest unit of sound. You will be counting sounds in words. Oh, we had the word splatter up here a while ago. It's erased now. How many sounds are in the word splatter?
Is together.
Seven? Seven?
Six.
5, 6, 7, okay?
Would be.
All right, let's count them together, all right? O, at, You don't hear two T's. You don't say splatter. We're counting individual sounds, okay? We say the word exactly the way that we would read it if it were there. Sp, o, o, because that's a three-letter consonant blend.
Right.
In consonant blends, which we get to on the next line, blends, you hear individual sounds, but they come together in a word. All right? So, consonant blends would be like spl, S-P-L, full, F-L, C-L, the C-L like include, the F-R like in free, because you hear both of those sounds, right? They don't make one sound. That's a consonant digraph. That comes the word after next, okay? So, you can hear.
But there's the that's, you don't hear the E.
No, you don't.
So that would be.
You don't hear the E, and that's on the next card, but this is another teachable moment, so we'll look at it now. That's because it's followed by an R. Whenever you have a vowel followed by an R, we say that that vowel is R controlled. Like in splatter. Does that E have a long or a short sound? We don't say splatter, right? Doesn't have a long sound. Doesn't have a short sound. It's not splat. You can't even do a short sound when it's followed by an R. That's why we call it R controlled. Anytime a vowel. Oh, and the vowels are what?
A-E-I-O-U.
A-E-I-O-U.
And sometimes Y.
And sometimes Y and
W.
W. Yeah, I know, I'm getting W, yes, and I'll show you in a minute. We'll come to that. Okay. So, and usually we talk about long sounds of vowels and short sounds of vowels. Long sounds is when the vowels say what? Their name, right? A-E-I-O-U. All right? So give me a word that has a long A sound.
8.
Like eight, A-T-E. Or E-I-G-H-T, in which E-I makes an A sound. That goes back to the rule, remember? Or when sounding like A as in neighbor in a way, the E-I, the E comes first. Okay. See, you apply it all the time. You didn't know it, but you apply it. Applying is more important than knowing the rule. Okay? Okay. So, give me a word that has a short vowel sound. We've already known all of this.
Cat.
Okay,
At.
like at, cat, okay. What about E? Give me a word with the long E sound.
Feet.
Feet. Meat. She. He. All right. Give me a word. Give me some words with short E.
Shed.
Bet and bed.
Shed.
Shed.
Red.
Red. Let's get out of the ed family.
Well, shed, S-H-E-A-D.
Big.
That kind of shed.
Or, okay, bent, anytime it's an at. Okay, now let's go to the I. Because in Texas and in the South, we have a problem with the short E and the short I because we tend to say, pronounce these two words the same.
Pen.
They are not pronounced the same. When you're teaching phonemic awareness, when you're teaching the phonics skills, when you're teaching sounding out, you as the teacher have to forget about the dialect that we go back to all the time and pronounce the words correctly in standard English. When you're teaching phonemic awareness, when you're assessing phonemic awareness and asking students to tell you how many sounds they hear in a word that you say, and we do this a lot with kindergartners and first graders, you have to pronounce the sounds if you expect them to tell you the sounds. You can't say, how many sounds do you hear in the word pen? What word did I just say?
Pen,
Did I say this one or this one? How many sounds do you hear in the word pen?
the bottom one.
We don't know, do we? It could have been either one, which that's the way we talk all the time. But if I want a student to tell me how many sounds I hear in the word pen, it. Short I says it. Your mouth is open wider. Short E says eh. Your mouth goes down. It's more in your throat. It's more guttural if we're talking about linguistics. So P-I-N is pin, it, like in. Think of the word in, go in the door. Usually they'll say go in the door. In, there is a difference. I don't care how far deep south you're from. There is a difference. We don't say that. If I said, can I borrow your pen? What do I want to borrow from you? Something to stick you with or something to write with?
Hopefully right.
We have to, yeah, hopefully right? Okay. You have to enunciate. So this is pen, it. Short I is it, short E is et. That's pen. I know we don't usually say that, and it takes more effort to say pen, men. I mean, you have to push it further back. That's a sound that's further back in your throat. But there is a difference between the short I and the short E, even in Texas, okay? All right, so what about O? Give me a word that has a long O sound.
O.
Oat, all right. Give me another word that has a long O.
Smoke.
Smoke. Float.
What about road?
Road. Okay. What about a short O sound?
Rod.
Okay, so short O says what? Ah. Okay, so rod,
Hot.
pot,
Shot.
shot, fox, Very good, good examples. Now, we're going to get a little tricky here because remember, long vowel sounds say what? They're what? Long vowel sound, the vowel says it's okay. So let's start with the easy part. Give me a word that has a short U sound. What is the short U sound? All right?
Us.
Like we're going, okay. Us. Us is a short U. Give me another word that has a short U that has an
Umbrella.
Umbrella. Very good. And that has how many syllables? Umbrella. 3, okay? You see how much you can teach in one word? We're teaching syllables, we're teaching vowel sounds, we're teaching long and short, we're teaching applying what we know. So when you're teaching, I know I'm breaking this down into components, but I want you to see this all comes together because my R controlled, that was on like, I don't know, at the end of my second card. We're already there now because we talk about it when we come to it. That's the way it's going to be in your classroom. You're going to have down, okay, today we're going to work on long vowels, short vowels, and a student is going to ask you, well, what about the word car?
Car.
If cat, and mat, well, what about when we put the R instead of, if we have as the last letter instead of t, if we're talking phonemically? Can you give the A short sound in the word car? We know that A says car. You can't even do it with an R. So that's why we needed to hit that, okay, car. Because students are going to ask you, that's why again we don't teach the rules. Because they're going to say, but what about, even though I couldn't think of one a while ago when the two vowels go walking, the first does the talking, but actually the second one does, and that will come back to me. They are going to ask you, but what about? So you answer the but what about.